Hello, everybody. I have a very exciting guest today with us. Her name is Anna Kowalska. She is a coach that helps women align their soul mission and help them gain prosperity and develop that soul purpose along the way. So I'm so excited to be here with you today, Anna.
I'm so excited to be here with Violetta as well.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom. I'd love to hear a little bit about your background and how you got into the work that you got into.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, the whole entire topic of your series is right up my alley. And I think it's so timely for where we are right now and what we need to hear. We need to hear it. So my journey, how did I get to where I am? Very quickly. I came from communist country, learning about authority and power being something that is, first of all, authority is outside of you and power is power over. So it's that dangerous place where people in power do things to hurt a smaller guy, right? There is a hierarchy, there is force, somebody always gets hurt. In my late teen years, I came to America with my parents. And in my 20s, I created a ton of unexpected success. And I'm saying unexpected with a look on my face, because when I look back, I'm like, I felt like I was destined for it. But the way that it showed up at the time, I couldn't explain. It was just luck, who knows, right? But very quickly, it turned into a burden and I walked away. And I did it 2 more times. And finally, I started asking questions. Okay, if my life is looking perfect on paper, something that I could have never dreamed up or made up when I was a little girl living in Poland. And here it is, and I'm supposed to be happy, but I'm not. What gives? And that's when I began to ask bigger questions. That's when I began to pray, but I had a very unhealthy relationship with God because God was a source of power over me as well. So I said, well, I'm not okay with that. So I began to ask questions of something bigger than me. I knew there was something bigger, but I didn't understand what it was. So I just started asking questions, and that was a form of prayer. And it led me to discovery of purpose. I never heard of purpose. I mean, I heard the word, but I didn't know anybody who lived on purpose. I was never taught, how do I access my inner power to create my reality in alignment with my higher purpose? That whole sentence would not exist in my language. It was like a foreign language to begin with. And as I began to walk the journey and I started to hear purpose, I started to look at everything as not this tangible life that we live, but something that once existed in somebody's imagination. And then as I grew up, I believed that life has to look a certain way that I was now dismantling. And if I was dismantling what life should look like, then what do I want it to look like? And that's when a whole conversation of I am in power to create my life began to open up. I started to ask, well, because, when we come from an old paradigm, all of us are, and this is without an exception, all of us are in some way conditioned to be a victim. And victim is on the other side of the inner power, right?
Absolutely.
So as I started the journey, as I kept moving forward, I found myself tripping over this whole victim thing. I'm like, wow, somebody outside of me has to have the answer. Somebody outside of me is going to come and tell me how to do it. Somebody outside of me, change it. I don't like that this is happening. Come and change it. This, right? So, and that is the opposite of being in my power. So the journey took me to understanding that one, there is this thing called inner power, but it doesn't just show up. It doesn't, one, you have to accept it. 2, you have to practice it. 3, you have to be willing to pay all the prices that come with being in power of controlling what your life looks like, and not control to force it. Let me actually not even talk about control. Being in power of creating your life. Because even control,
I know exactly what you're saying there. Yeah, I know control is such a tricky word.
It is.
People misuse it and they think of force and push, but I hear you there.
Similar to power, right? Similar to power.
Yeah.
Whenever people think of power, unless they begin to do this work, they think of control from the outside. Same thing as authority. Authority and power, inner power, live in the same bucket. I have the inner authority, the inner power to create my reality. But it doesn't just happen because I say I know what you're talking about when I say that. So purpose came into picture to begin to give me a direction. Because remember, when I gave up the idea that somebody outside of me is creating something, there is no angry God in the sky that punishes me, so I better choose right. There is no smarter person than me coming to tell me how to make my choices. Now it's up to me. Then what am I building it based on? Still looking around, right? Like who, where, how? So the journey led me to understand that what does it really mean? We have an inner power to create our reality, including money, including the work we do, including the relationships we live in, we create and thrive in or not. And it helped me understand, and it does on a daily basis, reshape even how I think of purpose.
Wow. Wow. What a beautiful, powerful journey that you've found yourself through. You make so many great points. So many women and men that walk on this earth are taught at a young age that there's something outside of us that we need to look up to, that the power is now taken out of our hands and given to somebody else. So then when we are left to our own devices, we look around like almost, where's mommy and daddy?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When we have to actually sit with ourselves, find our intuitive voice, find our authority, our inner authority, which is actually a softer, gentle voice, which is the soul, and connected to your intuition. And then we learn discernment. In that, and how power actually really is your own ability to listen to the small whispers of yourself and not looking outside of yourself for answers.
Yes.
So I think that reframing power is so important, as you mentioned. And you said it wonderfully, that we can get caught up in victimhood. And once we actually awaken our inner power, we realize that we really do create our own reality, and that's when the work begins.
Yeah. You know, there is this thing that I want to make sure we speak about too.
Yes.
It's coming in this moment.
Please share.
And I'll tell you how I came to it on my own journey. When we create from the old paradigm, because it is the old paradigm, we were taught that there is somebody outside of us that knows better. First, it's our parents, then it's our teachers, then it's our boss if you have a job, somebody outside of us. Now, in a coaching world, so many of us give, and when I say us, I mean in general, people give their power over to their coaches or mentors or what they see on social media versus still asking, is this my truth? And one of the reasons that it's convenient to hold on to the old paradigm, like so many people say, okay, I'm kind of starting to understand I have the inner power. But when you begin to be discerning, learn how to be discerning, because it is something we need to learn. It doesn't just happen. It is a journey. We must learn it, and we must be okay learning it through making choices that don't work out the way we plan to, or hope they will, right? So the reason why we want to hold on to the old paradigm where the power is with somebody else is because if it doesn't work out, it's not about me. Well, I did what you told me to do. Well, and in a coaching world, right? In a healer world where I paid you, you should tell me what to do. Why is my debt still here? The EBT, right? I work a lot with money. Or why is my purpose still not like clicking in? It's not crystal clear. Like you should tell me. And the reason why, and you can even tell me, like, I have fun with it. It's our little inner child that is afraid to get things wrong and be punished for being wrong. And it's more convenient to say, well, I did what you told me. Even when it comes to bigger things like government-based things, we want government to tell us what to do, most of us, because then we can say, oh, you were wrong. See, I just did what you told me to do. I am still a good person. I'm still a good person. I just did what you told me, and I follow what government tells me to do. But we are in this new era. We are in the era of global awakening, where that will no longer work. Literally, the energies of organized power outside of us are fighting to hold on because they know they're going away. We are moving into the era of absolutely what you are presenting in a series here, which is unleashing the inner power, discernment, trusting yourself, and learning what it looks like. So for me, because I think I teach this because, well, let me say it this way. Part of my journey was growing up in a communist country, which is, like, to me, one of the most ultimate ways of learning there is authority outside of me, and I better be careful. I better, walk the line.
Yeah.
So I think I learned that in my early childhood by design. So I believe that at the soul level, we choose a path, and not necessarily exactly where we are born and who our parents are, but what they will teach us. And they usually teach us the shadow side of what it is that we will then get to learn the true of our essence through. So, for example, I mentioned right before we click record, there is a tool that I love to use, which is called scientific hand analysis.
Please tell us.
Yeah. So I love using this tool because over a decade ago, I had my hands analyzed. Now, it's not a fortune telling or future telling tool. I don't believe there is one future somebody could tell you, so nobody should ever tell you, because there are timelines.
Timelines.
Right.
You have different timelines, and our free will gets to choose which timeline that we want to jump into and become.
Exactly. So if I go to somebody asking, hey, could you tell me when this is going to happen, or how, or who? Whatever timeline I am currently on is the timeline the person can see and then tell me through whatever tool they use. So I don't play with those anymore. There was a time when I did, because I wanted to know, because I was afraid of the uncertainty.
Absolutely. Many people are.
Yes. So, which is another part of the journey, right? Being okay with unleashing your power and knowing that you don't know where it's going to take you. So, So a friend turned me on to the scientific hand analysis, which is a study of the lines in our hands and fingerprints. I won't get too deeply into it because I could go for hours about it. But one thing that I do want to talk about is our fingerprints carry the message that our soul wanted to learn this lifetime through a challenge, a series of challenges, and through the purpose. So guess what? Part of my purpose is on two index fingers, my left index finger and my right index finger. Both have to do with power. One is about personal power. One is about power in the world. So my lesson this lifetime, and lesson, by the way, is not like this thing I learn. It's this challenge that keeps expanding me. The more I am willing to be on the light versus shadow, on the light side of this, the more I am learning who I am. So of course, I grew up in an environment that taught me the shadow side of the power. I am the victim. There is somebody else who has power over me. So then as I became aware, I could start growing through the edges of what it meant. And at first, it was extremely uncomfortable because I could no longer point the finger and say, wow, you made me buy this. No, it was your choice. You took out a credit card and you bought it.
Yeah.
You made me live here. No, it was your choice. You actually moved your things into this house. But it was a journey that I had to learn and pay the price of it. Wow, if I can't point a finger at you anymore, I'm no longer a victim, then I created all of this. Wow, what was it that I was afraid of, trying to avoid or wanting to cling onto in order to not feel like there is something like, wow, I created this thing that I'm not comfortable with right now.
Yeah, and you make a great point, because that's radical responsibility.
Yes.
And when we take radical responsibility that we ourselves, even what we attract in our lives, has something to do with what's in our energy field of what we're attracting and why. And that's one of the ways we can unleash our power.
Yes.
Taking radical responsibility of everything that's present in our lives, the quote unquote good, bad, and the ugly.
Yep, absolutely. Yes. And then be willing to ask, wow, if I did that, then how do I no longer do this? What is it that I'm afraid of? And many people will discover that I'm afraid of judgment. I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of that I'm not capable. I'm afraid that I am not as smart as I think I am. Or maybe I am so smart and I've lived pretending I wasn't most of my life. And now people that were around me won't like me anymore. So
yes, because you become afraid of your own power.
Yeah.
A lot of people become afraid of how powerful they actually are and how their lives can change because of when they get what they might actually want.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Wow. I denied that to myself most of my life. So I surrounded myself with people who would remind me that it's okay not to have it. Like with money, I grew up with people like us don't have money like that. In my 20s, when millions started coming in, guess what I heard? People like us don't have money like that. And I didn't understand that's what was happening. But when I heard it in my subconscious, because it wasn't even conscious then, this was way before I was doing this work. When I heard the subconscious, of course, I got rid of it, because people like us, what does it automatically tell me? I belong to a tribe of some kind of people. And if I'm no longer people like us, then who am I?
Absolutely. So my question to you for the listeners, whoever is stuck in scarcity or feeling like they're in deficit, how can they unravel that thinking and unleash their power in how much they actually can attract in abundance and prosperity?
Yeah, that's such a loaded question, Violet. And it's so...
We can even talk about that for hours, but simply put, where can somebody start?
Yeah, simply put is beginning to understand. I mean, what are we talking about? Beginning to understand that there is some kind of a paradigm, and paradigm just means a way of thinking, a way of seeing the world, and a way of seeing yourself, a way you see world, people, and yourself. There is some kind of a paradigm that you have grown up with, whether it was told to you, you observed it, or it just soaked through because you lived in its environment. There is this paradigm that has created what you are seeing. Living in deficit, by the way, I love that phrase. I use it in my work because we live in deficit emotionally, we live in deficit energetically, and then it shows up as a deficit in our bank account. Most people think that they have to dig themselves from, so once they begin to do the work, once they begin to claim, okay, allow me to begin the journey of believing that I am in power, they begin from underneath it. Like, this is the ground zero where I learned something, and now I believe that I'm somewhere at the bottom. I'm in deficit and I have to dig myself from under before I can even breathe air. And it's this thinking that there is something wrong with me. There isn't. You just had a different way of looking at things that had you see the world, yourself, and your reality in a certain way. Now, when you begin to shift it, it will take something. This is what we said right before we clicked record. The work begins when we begin to realize that we are in power.
Yes.
You'll see the ugly and you'll have to love the ugly. It's not ugly. You just called it ugly.
Yeah, that's the shadow side that we have to look at. And then it no longer has power over you anymore. When the big ugly beast, as Carl Jung would say.
Exactly. And while it's happening, you'll have to own up to all the choices you've made while you were in that old paradigm, and all the people around you, and all of the ways that you have been and you have created that seem static but really aren't. What is it going to mean? You might have to give up your job. You might have to leave your relationship. You might have to change your friends. May doesn't have to happen, but you may.
Yeah, most likely one out of those four things.
Yeah, for sure.
Or change where you live.
Yeah.
Whatever awakening comes in for you, it's a path of courage that must go on.
Yes.
What's more uncomfortable, living in your shadows and knowing you can have more but not making any changes, or choosing to live in your power and actually taking on the courageous path of the unknown and then end up having what you really, really want and being fulfilled at the end of the day? Choose lesser of evils.
Yeah. Yes. And you and I both know that this path isn't easy, but it's so worth it, right?
So worth it. Yeah. So worth it. So if you, whoever's listening and you know that you're on the edge of taking action with changing your life, we are here to tell you it is so rewarding. Not even when you get to the other side, when you're in it, When you're in it, you go, wow, I'm in it. I'm in this incubator with the divine, with my guides. And I know I'm going to get to where I feel in my heart I can get, whether that's with money, that's in a relationship, or that's with your own personal relationship with power and your own authenticity and authority.
Yeah. And you know what, too? What's happening on planet Earth right now? Everybody who is here is already to some level aware of something. If you weren't aware of something that is not the old paradigm, but possibility that there is something else, if you weren't aware of that, you wouldn't be here right now. So I'm going to say, right?
Beautiful point, because most people think that we're all sleeping, but to a certain degree, we are aware and we are awake. It's just levels to where we are on that journey.
Yeah.
But yes.
And somebody who wants to stay asleep wouldn't be right now listening to your series, wouldn't have never, it doesn't exist in their reality.
Right.
It doesn't exist. They literally cannot see it. They would not see the invitation unless they were to some degree aware and awake, period. Yeah. And what's happening on planet Earth right now is that the energy of if you are awake and aware and to any level, which you are because you are listening, and I'm talking to everybody who's watching right now, you are here. The old energy that you have grown up with and in is no longer going to be available to you. So it isn't like if you feel scared, don't. This is actually very encouraging to me, because the energy is going to constantly nudge you towards living a more empowered life. You will no longer be, and I'm making this blanket statement, but people who aren't ready to hear it or will not be affected by it, again, they're not here. We do not exist in their reality.
Yeah.
So whatever the thing that had power over you, because we're speaking about power meaning you believe that there is a government that's going to save your butt when you are in trouble. You believe that your husband, partner, wife, whatever will save you when you are in trouble. When your job is the savior, like you have this complex of somebody outside of you has power over you, but they also will take care of you in some way. That whole energy is going away. Now, it doesn't mean you won't be supported, but that's very different than living in this like, somebody else knows, somebody else will come and save me, somebody else will do this thing for me and fix it. It's very different than knowing you'll be taken care of and supported by the energy. Right. That energy of somebody will take care of you, somebody will solve this for you, that's going away.
Yeah, it's like the distress archetype that we give ourselves. We are our own lovers. We are our own bosses. We are ourselves first before we see it in the outside external world. Yes.
So as that goes away, there'll be nothing to cling on to, that we still like are in an illusion of hoping, oh, let me hold on to this job or this whatever that I think is going to save me. It's going to go away. But as it's going away, what's happening is that inner power, the access to that inner power is becoming clearer and clearer. Our ability to stand on our own, not alone, but on our own, is becoming more and more available, which is why entrepreneurship is such a huge thing right now. Because it is, right? It's truly standing on our own and owning, like, I can create something and it can sustain me. And I am choosing and willing to believe it. Hello, kitty.
My cat, she feels the powerful conversation. She wants to be a part of it.
I love it. It's the feminine that cats represent. I love that.
Yeah.
So knowing that as the old goes away and we can no longer cling on to it, most of us don't want to, but some of us still live in illusion that we could. Yeah. As that goes away, the more I am willing to let go of it, the more my inner power becomes available to me to live into, to embody. But that's going to take some courage.
It's going to take a lot of courage. Well, if there is a woman who's listening right now who's on the path and she knows that she might need to leave her current job, or she already did, and she's in the discovery phase of what she can do in the world and service to people, what does it look like for them to take action, or what would you say to them right now?
Oh, again, a loaded question. But let me just
loaded questions. But let's make it easy.
Yes, they're big questions. And well, the first step is whatever fear is coming up, it's there. Don't make it go away. It's not going to go away. What I'm inviting you to do is like a dial on a radio, which is so old, but on your computer, we have, this little swipey thing. On my Apple has one right here.
Right.
The volume, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine that you have two of them. One on a fear of unknown and letting go of what you perceive you can trust, because many of us perceive that we can trust the job or wherever money came from or wherever our support came from.
Yeah.
We have an illusion that we can trust it, that we are safe there, which is going away very, very, very quickly. So lower that like even in your mind's eye, that's how I play with it. Lower the volume on it in your mind's eye. Oh my gosh, what's your kitty's name?
Her name is Ksenia. She is really trying to make a cameo right now.
Seriously, Ksenia. Oh, gorgeous. I love it. Let her be. I love it.
Animals really do bring a whole resonance of power too on their own end for humans.
They do.
Journey.
They do. They absolutely do. Yeah. So lower the volume on the fear, and Ksenia is sharing with us. That's why she's here. She's telling us, raise the volume on the courage. Courage, willingness to show up. That's what she's teaching us. Show up.
Yes.
Walk your path. Cats don't care. Like, I have a dog, but I used to have a cat. And cats, so let's just use this, okay? The energy, because it's here in front of us. First of all, it's the feminine energy. Cats represent a feminine energy. Just historically, that's how we see them. Two, they really walk their own path. They're not easily trained. They have their own inner power and authority that they follow. That's why so many cats are aloof, or you can't teach them not to jump somewhere, or if you do, it's gonna take a lot.
Yes.
So they right now, thank you, Ksenia. What she's teaching us is
teacher.
Yeah. Follow that inner knowing. Like, if this is what I want to do right now, walk in front of the camera, I'm not aware that it's going to impact anything. I'm just going to walk there, period.
I love that. I love how you're integrating this, because it's true. Be like a cat, guys.
Yeah.
Walk your own path unapologetically, unabashedly, because cats also have this instinct in them, and they don't have an amygdala like we do. We don't they don't have a high cognitive functioning brain like humans, but their instincts are wired for the truth. And if we are more connected to our instincts, our core, which is our solar plexus, which is actually where our power really comes from in the body, power to do and move as we please, as we feel, like cats do. If we align our bodies with our internal mechanism, which is the instinct, something that's pulsating within us to act, to do, to be, then that's walking your power, and those two are in alignment.
Yes. This is what helped me. So going back to scientific hand analysis, which is, I keep going back to it over and over, and I try to shift my path and say, I'm going to do something different, meaning not complete, because this is my purpose. I can't not do it. But the way that I see purpose has changed when I had my hands analyzed. Purpose is a way that I am being in the world, that when I am being this way, what I am here to do becomes clear. So when my hands were analyzed, I was given certain information which was already inside of me. It wasn't anything new to me. It's something that I wasn't owning. It's something that wasn't safe for me to say, I know these qualities about me. And other people already saw them in me. I was refusing that it's true.
Printed. It's the same thing when I offer astrology or intuitive consultations. I go, I'm not going to tell you something you don't already know about yourself. I might pick up something in your subconscious, but it's already there in you. So I understand what you're saying.
Exactly. So once we begin through tools, right? I mean, there are astrology is an excellent tool, human design, gene keys. There are so many. Getting a confirmation for yourself, the things that you are denying about who you are, and then begin to be that, because that's what gave me the North Star. It wasn't even me knowing my purpose. It was knowing who I came here to be. And then the work began to just open up. Like I couldn't get away from it. There it is, over and over and over again.
You make
So-
up a good point, because when you unleash your purpose, when you awaken to that, discover it, it becomes undeniable.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
can try to run from it. You can try to go back to your old job. You can try to go back to your old paradigm. But once
Yep.
you've crossed
Walmart.
over, you'll be pulled in, and it's undeniable. It's kind of what they say, what fate looks like. It just
Yeah.
it comes into your path, and you accept the mission. Or if you don't, you just delay
Yep.
yourself, and then you get back on it, but you can't deny it. It's just there.
Yeah.
You
And it
can't
does.
miss what's yours and your purpose, basically.
No, you really can't. And people worry a lot about getting it wrong. So let me speak to that for a moment too.
Please.
You can't really get it wrong, because whatever you choose, so the only way to get it wrong is to do nothing, or to cling onto something that you know is no longer working for you. Everything else that you choose must, by design of universe, take you to something you need to learn along the way, something you had to discover about yourself, but it keeps taking you along the journey. And hold on, because I'm tuning into like things that I want to make sure that support the people who are in the room. Conversation sometimes is like, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to waste my time. Well, completely get it out of your mind. There isn't wasting your time. There isn't getting it wrong. It's just you moving forward. As long as you're moving forward in the direction with intention that you are moving in the direction, living your purpose, even if you don't fully know what it is, because it will keep opening up for you. What you gain along the way is everything you needed. So someday when you look back, you can say, wow, I am so glad that I made that mistake, which wasn't really a mistake, because I learned XYZ. I am so glad I did that or this, because I learned this or that now it's helping me in this step. Without this step, if I got here and I didn't know that, could I be okay? Yes, maybe I could have learned from somebody else. I could have read a book. I could have hired a coach. That could have worked too. So there is no right or wrong. Right. But now I learned it, so I don't have to look for anything else. I already learned it, right? Yeah. So banishing that whole, because it's fear-based. That's not a powerful way of thinking. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to waste my time. That is very much a victim, which, remember, victim is on the other side of power.
Yes.
So an empowered thinking is, I am always on the path of my purpose, evolving and opening in front of me. Yes, I seek support to know better. I seek coaches like you. I seek support. I seek tools, but I am always on my path, and it's already opening up because I am intentionally choosing to walk it.
Correct. And speaking about higher intelligence and the divine, it wants you to be prosperous. There's enough resources in this planet that you can obtain, but it's more than that. The planet's vibration rises when you are your purpose, your dharma in certitude. And it's almost like the angels up front are like, can she do it? We gave her a bone. And that's where free will comes in, and you learn along the path. But man, does the divine really cheer for us?
Divine really cheers for us. And so let me drop this about money. Very much you are right on point, saying that divine, whatever you believe, universe, source, wants us to have all the resources needed and required for us to live our fullest potential. Why? Because divine wants to know who it is through us as an experience of a fully embodied human being. And fully embodied human being is somebody who's resourced. It's not somebody who begs and doesn't have what they need, doesn't have the best available support, health, food, coaches, in education, whatever it is, support, creativity. When we are worried about money, we are not tapping into the resource of creativity, which is absolutely a frequency of divinity. When we are worried about money, we are not tapping into generosity, which is absolutely a frequency of divinity. When we are worried about money, we are not tapping into joy. All of those things we want to tap into because we heard they'll help us with money, but we really aren't. We're pretending to tap into them, hoping that it'll give us money. But that's not how it works. divine actually. So one of the steps is to accepting that we are meant to be prosperous.
Yes.
And we lived in a paradigm where we gave up that right very long time ago as humanity.
Yeah.
And you know that one of the oh my gosh, this is such a great conversation. So I'm gonna drop just a little bit here.
Let's go. I feel the fire from you.
One of the ways that we see the paradigm from the past and how it was created, we gave up our power in the name of safety and security of money.
Yeah.
And it looked a certain way, like a king, I'll take care of you. You'll just have to give me, some of your money, which became taxes. But it's like, I will save you. I will support you at the nation level. The kingdom will support you, but you got to come here and work for us, and we'll give you a certain support, provide for you. And then it's spanned into the whole conversation of women and men, right? Men, I'll take care of you. I'll support you. You just got to do this. We gave up a long time ago our power in a name of perceived safety and security. And that paradigm is so gone. We are living in a memory of it. And even when it feels tangible, I want you to take on, those of you who are watching right now, that we are living in the memory of it. And if we choose to let go of our attachment of the memory of it, we can begin to create a new memory, an empowering memory, where I am not relying on something outside of me to give me money. Money is available to me, and now I claim it. Now, I do get to exchange the energy, and exchange of energy means I provide some kind of a service, or I create something people want. I will exchange my gifts in alignment with my purpose. Absolutely. And money comes to me. I don't question it. I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel like I have to keep giving more because I get more. No, that's old paradigm.
Yes. And yes, so many people receive prosperity. They don't feel like they deserve it. Or they feel guilty having it. And so they spread it, and they do so from a place of unworthiness. It's not generosity. And that's so different. Where you come from, that place of where you're giving makes a really big difference. So can you actually speak on the frequency and the energy behind prosperity? How does one align their energy and their frequency to be around the flow of prosperity and abundance?
So there are some simple ways, like tuning into nature. It's one of the popular ways. Tune into nature. Nature doesn't need more money. Nature doesn't ask for more trees or for more leaves on a tree. I'm looking at a tree, so it's my favorite metaphor.
It's a beautiful,
right? Nature doesn't ask, hey, God, give me more leaves. I need more leaves. Or, hey, God, it's cloudy today. How am I going to survive today? Because I need sun for the process of creating my leaves. Tree just exists knowing that it's taken care of and supported, but it also provides something. It provides all of the chemical process that happens for us to be able to breathe, right? It provides something when the leaves drop, and it provides the compost for the soil. The roots of the tree provide nutrition for all the beings on the ground. So it's like being in this state, and nothing brings me more in a state of prosperity as just closing my eyes for a couple minutes, even just once a day for a couple minutes, and tuning into it. I am just like that tree. That tree just grows leaves. It has exactly what it needs to grow the accurate number of leaves. It doesn't calculate and say, I won't have enough for tomorrow. Can I store enough sun for today so I have it for tomorrow? No, it just knows that it's here for the tree. The tree.
My God.
Yeah.
Does that live every day as if we already have what we want, and we'll get what we want, like the tree does every single day.
Yeah. And it takes something to begin to refocus. So without getting too deep into the whole, because for some reason, the energy of like wanting to abolish the whole entire idea of death, the EBT comes in, but maybe you and I have another conversation.
Perhaps.
Begin to shift our focus, not from, oh my gosh, what do I need by the 1st? Will I have it? More about, I know I will, I've always had it. And at times when I didn't, something always did show up. Something always did get created. but I want more. Why? Because I want to live, I want to use all of its creation that's available to me. That means maybe I want a prettier house, better food. Maybe I want to hire a coach that works at a higher level. Thus, I'm going to invest more to raise my frequency. All of those things, right? Okay. So I've always had enough to pay my rent, and I've always had enough for my food, but now I want more so I can do all those things. Okay. Well, I am going to allow myself to believe that those things are available to me. What do I have to let go of? I have to let go of the idea that people like me, whatever that means, don't have it, that I'm going to have to do something extraordinary for it. Yes, I'm going to have to get uncomfortable. What does it look like? I may have to offer something to somebody else in exchange for my energy. Maybe I get to offer my services to somebody and say, hey, I can help with this. Are you willing to pay? Oh my gosh, I've been looking for you my whole life. How much do you charge? So there is going to be some level of discomfort.
Absolutely. And then that attraction happens and you get what you're looking for because you know it's available to you.
Yeah.
So when you operate from this belief system that I have everything I need in me to serve and receive in exchange, that's the energy exchange. Therefore, I am abundant because my gifts are abundant and I help people, therefore abundant.
And yes, and that's powerful, right? I am not waiting for somebody outside of me to give me permission that I deserve it or that I can have it. I am using my inner power and authority to say, if it's something that I desire and I feel it from my heart, not because I'm afraid, because fear comes from my mind and my prior thinking. I feel it in my heart. I want this experience. I want this house. I want this pair of shoes, whatever it is. I want this trip. I feel it in my heart that it's going to expand. Now, from this place, I give myself permission. I use my inner power to say, wow, of course I can create it. I'm not waiting for anybody else outside of me to tell me it's okay, because that's victim. Somebody tell me that it's okay. And sometimes that's where we are. Then find somebody to give you permission, but just know it's only because you are willing to ask for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. What a powerful conversation that we had today. I was wondering if there's any last tidbits that you had to offer to listeners who may feel like they want to break through any limiting beliefs about prosperity or even their purpose, how they can tap more into it. How do they develop?
Well, one, we spoke about so many, but what's coming in right this moment is, first of all, believe that it's possible for you. Believe that you were born for a reason. There are no accidents. There are no mistakes. There isn't a spare human, like a spare, just in case.
Oh my God, that is so good. A spare human. It's like the clones.
Yes. No, we're not. And let me tell you how I know. I have seen, oh my God, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I don't even want to say thousands because it's definitely hundreds of hands, fingerprints, and lines. Now, I've never seen two that are exactly the same.
Wow.
Even identical twins had very different imprints on their hands. That tells me we are truly like snowflakes.
Absolutely. And your chart, nobody has your chart. World to go through 25,000 years for the universe to replicate your entire chart, like all of where your planets are and the degrees.
Wow.
Like we are a special snowflake. So your hands for me is like the chart that I read with people. Yeah.
That's our confirmation. This is how I know. I don't have to make it up. I believed it, and then I keep building evidence for it because it's true. We are unique, and every single one of us has something very unique right now to contribute for planet Earth. Yes. If you are born right now, which clearly you are because you are here watching this in a physical form, touch yourself. There you are.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here.
I know, right? I know.
But we're still here.
Yeah, we're still in a physical body. And that is for a reason. If you are born right now, then there is something that you are here to contribute during this really quite a miraculous time for humanity. We are shifting the way the humans have been for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years. We are shifting human evolution, human embodiment to a whole different experience. And if we are, we are the ones who are opening the doorway for the future generations. So everything that we now work through to own our power is in the name of what's coming for humanity coming forward. So do not discount your aliveness as an accident. You are here for a reason. Right now, especially, there is something unique. Don't look to reinvent a wheel. Unique may look like your way of talking about something that 100 other people talk about.
Yes.
The way you talk about it, the frequency with which you talk about will be unlike anybody else. And that's what makes it unique. So believe in it, stand in it, and wake up every morning and affirm it. Affirm, I am moving on my purpose. I am on my journey. And I am going to seek all the evidence of that today. I'm going to seek the teachers and the support to help me know that I'm on my way and help it make it more known to me every single day. But I already know I am. So just wake up and affirm and then look for evidence of that.
Oh
And
my
get,
God.
And get
Yes.
teachers.
Yes, get teachers. That's so underrated. It's so hard when you're awakening and you feel like you're not getting it right. When you have a guide next to you, you do accelerate your time frame.
Yes.
So keep in mind, people, that when you are moving through maybe any karma, even with your servitude, that if you have somebody by your side, it does really make things better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Anna, I really want to thank you so much for sharing your abundance of information, wisdom, and knowledge, and so generously with such passion offering this to us. Thank you again. And whoever is listening, Anna actually has a really amazing free gift. It's a prosperity prayer. So she spoke about affirmations. And if you get her prosperity prayer, it's a form of affirmation that you could use in the morning, in the shower, or at night. And it will wake your belief system up, and it starts permeating in your consciousness. And you'll start to attract opportunities. And most importantly, your thinking.
Yeah, beautiful.
Anna, thanks so much. Again, you can find this in her speaker page and download the free gift in her bio. Okay, everybody.
Thank you. My
Anna,
joy and pleasure.
Yes. Okay. We'll talk soon.
Yes.
Bye for now.